Hello, my name is Muhammad Nabil bin Muhammad Adam Malik. Today I would like to talk about the serious issue of water pollution in Bangladesh. According to Faro and South 2022, widespread water pollution in Bangladesh has been intensified not only by rapid urbanization and industrialization, but also, and most critically, by inefficient water management and poor enforcement of environmental laws. Building on this understanding, this study focuses on three main objectives. First, it aims to analyze how weak law enforcement and governance failures have contributed to worsening water pollution in Bangladesh, and to explore strategies that could strengthen regulatory enforcement and ensure broader access to clean and safe water. Second, it seeks to investigate and systemic weaknesses within Bangladesh environmental regulatory agencies, examining how political and economic interests interfere with and hinder the enforcement of environmental laws. Third, the study evaluates the effectiveness of existing water protection policies and proposes necessary reforms. The goal is to strengthen law enforcement mechanism and better safeguard the human right to safe and clean water.
Hi, I'm Teresa, and I will briefly explain the methodology used in the studies. Firstly, the authors adopted a qualitative methodology. They utilized literature reviews, case studies, secondary data, and critical criminological analysis to explore water pollution and environmental injustice in Bangladesh. In addition to this, another studies took a more scientific approach. A systematic review and meta-analysis were conducted, focusing on both conventional and emerging pollutants in order to assess the current status of water quality and the related health risks in Bangladesh. Moving on to the key findings from the studies. The findings illustrated a significant disconnect between environmental policies and their practical implementation, particularly regarding industrial pollution control and arsenic mitigation. Not only that, scientific analysis revealed that Bangladesh water bodies are highly contaminated with heavy metals, pesticides, and bacterial pollutants, creating considerable health risks for the populations.
Next, I, Nadira, will discuss how weak law enforcement in Bangladesh contributes to water pollution using the lens of political ecology theory. Political ecology is a theory in environmental sociology that explains how environmental problems are linked to politics, power, and economy. It shows that powerful groups like corporation and government often control natural resources for their own gain, while weaker communities suffer the negative impacts. Political ecology also highlights that environmental issues are not just natural problems, but are caused by social injustice, inequality, and poor governance, such as weak law enforcement.
Political ecology reveals that water pollution in Bangladesh is fundamentally a political issue, not merely a technological or natural one. It is shaped by power relations, elite interests, and institutional weaknesses that prioritize industrial growth over environmental and social justice. Despite the Environment Conservation Act 1995 providing legislative authority, its enforcement is undermined by bureaucratic inefficiency, lack of accountability, and political industry pressure. The Director General of the Department of Environmentals operates without public oversight, allowing regulatory decisions to favor industrial interests. Moreover, jurisdictional overlap between the Departments of Environment, WASA, and NRCC further weakens enforcement, especially in the absence of a specialized body for water pollution. Ultimately, the political ecology perspective shows that environmental degradations in Bangladesh result from disputes authority over resources, bureaucratic fragmentations, and the dominations of policy processes by elite interests, leaving marginalized community to bear the greatest burden.
For the next point, I will discuss how weak law enforcement in Bangladesh contributes to water pollution using the lens of political ecology theory, with a focus on environmental injustice and socio-economic inequality. In Bangladesh, industries often discharge untreated waste into rivers with little fear of consequences due to lax regulatory enforcement and corruption. Political ecology helps us understand that this is not just a failure of policy, but a result of power imbalances where the interests of the wealthy elite are prioritized over marginalized communities. Poor communities who rely heavily on polluted rivers for daily survival bear the burden of health and livelihood impacts, while wealthier groups avoid these consequences through access to cleaner resources. This reflects deep environmental injustice, where the burdens of environmental degradation fall disproportionately on the socio-economically disadvantaged, highlighting the urgent need to stronger governance and equitable enforcement of environmental laws.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Nikarina Adini binti Mamardana, and today I will discuss the key insights from Saka Faro and Nigel Salt's 2022 article on water pollution in Bangladesh. The authors has critically examined how rapid urbanization, industrialization, and governance failures has contributed to severe water pollution, disproportionately impacting the vulnerable populations. They also has effectively highlighted the intersection between environmental degradation and social inequality, particularly the lack of clean water access among marginalized communities. However, their recommendations for improving water management and law enforcement are present in general terms and lack specific actionable strategies. Further illustrating the severity of the issue, a 2023 study by Islam and colleagues published in Environmental Pollution report a significant heavy metal contamination in the sediments of the Karnapuli River in Chattogram, exceeding permissible limits and posing a substantial risk to human and ecological health. Together, these studies has underscored the urgent need for targeted interventions and stricter regulatory enforcement in Bangladesh.
Hi everyone, my name is Nur Alicia and I'm going to present about our position in the issue. So we strongly agree that water pollution in Bangladesh is a major environmental and public health issue that requires immediate and sustained action. In their 2022 article, Water Pollution and Environmental Injustice in Bangladesh, Sarkar Farooq and Nigel Soft critically positioned themselves to highlight the severe water pollution crisis in Bangladesh as both an environmental and social justice issue. They contend that urbanization, industrialization, and governance failures have led to disproportionate impacts on marginalized communities. For instance, according to Farooq and Soft in 2022, the authors point to the Buringkaga River, once Dhaka's lifeline, now heavily polluted by the daily dumping of over 20,000 cubic liters of toxic waste from litter tanneries, exposing slum residents to extreme pollution in air, water, and soil. Echoing this stance, a 2023 study by Rahman in the Journal of Environmental Management found alarmingly high levels of heavy metals in the Turak River due to inadequately regulated industrial discharge, further endangering public health and exacerbating environmental injustice. Both instances underscore the urgent need for stricter enforcement of environmental regulations and comprehensive policy reforms to protect vulnerable populations and ensure sustainable water management.